Welcome back, readers. Today on Book Chat, joining me is my Buddy Reads co-host, Classy Green. We'll be discussing The New Husband by DJ Palmer. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by The Boyfriend Project, written by Farah Rashan. It's the Mocha Girls Read National Book Club's July Book of the Month. Visit their website and join in today. Smaya Brooks thought she would never be that girl, but a live tweet of a horrific date just revealed the painful truth. She's been catfished by a 3-timing jerk of a boyfriend. Suddenly, Samaya, along with 2 other girlfriends, London and Taylor, have gone viral online. Now the 3 new besties are making a pact to spend the next 6 months investing in themselves. No men, no dating, and no worrying about their relationship status. For once, Samaya is putting herself first, and that includes finally developing an app she's always dreamed of creating, which is the exact moment she meets the deliciously sexy, honey-eyed Daniel Collins at work. What are the chances? When it comes to love, there is no such thing as coincidence. But is Daniel really boyfriend material, or is he maybe just a little too good to be true? The Boyfriend Project is available now in paperback, ebook, and audiobook from your favorite bookseller. Learn more by visiting mogagirlsread.com. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and thank you for downloading this month's Buddy Read discussion featured here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you're new here, every week we get bookish with book discussions, book review shelf bites, and more. If you are wondering what is a Buddy Read, this is a feature where Classy and I select a thriller or mystery title that we both are interested in. Then we have a candid discussion about that book or audiobook. We even discuss it in our Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official during a live chat. So grab a glass of wine, a cocktail, a cup of tea or coffee, or whatever your drink of choice is, and settle in for this fun discussion. As always with book chats, there is a spoiler alert in effect, so you've been warned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with one book nerd friend or on your favorite social media space. That would really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing it. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show. You can find both Classy and myself on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're reading or listening to this audiobook and would like to contribute to the conversation, of course, be sure to join the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group. I hope to hear your thoughts on this discussion. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. We've got a lot to cover today, so we are going to jump right on in. Joining me is the Buddy Read feature co-host, Classy Green. Welcome back, Classy.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Tamara.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
Today, we are discussing the audiobook version of The New Husband, written by DJ Palmer. And I'm going to give you some of the stats, and then Classy is going to give you the synopsis, and then we'll jump right on in. So this audiobook was narrated by January Lavoy and Rebecca Solar, both narrators that I'm familiar with. The unabridged audiobook length was 11 hours and 50 minutes, and this was released on April 14th, 2020 by Macmillan Audio.
I'm going to read the synopsis, The New Husband by DJ Palmer. What makes Simon Fitch so perfect? He knows all her favorite foods, music, and movies. Her son adores him. He was there when she needed him most. He anticipates her every need. He would never betray her like her first husband. The perfect husband. He checks all the boxes. The question is, why? Nina Garrity learned the hard way that her missing husband, Glenn, had been leading a double life with another woman. But with Glenn gone, presumably drowned while fishing on his boat, she couldn't confront him about the affair or find closure to the life he blew apart. Now, a year and a half later, Nina has found love again and hopes she can put her shattered world back together. Simon, a widower, still grieving the death of his first wife, thinks he has found his dream girl in Nina, and his charm and affections help break through to a heart hardened by betrayal. Nina's teenage son, Connor, embraces Simon as the father he wishes his dad could have been, while her friend sees a different side to him, and they aren't afraid to use the word obsession. Nina works hard to bridge the divide that comes between her daughter and Simon. She wants so badly to believe her life is finally getting back on track, but she'll soon discover that the greatest danger to herself and to her children are the lies people tell themselves.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Or not. Okay, where do you want to start, Classy? Because there's so much to discuss.
I'm going to let you kick it off.
Okay, well, let's just start with a general statement, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
This book was complete bullshit, in my opinion. There was so much I didn't like. And then when I started getting more into it and texting with you, and then and this is my own fault, because with all of these initial author names, I should never assume it's a woman. Yep. And then when I found out that DJ Palmer was a guy, I was instantly more upset because he was writing from two women's point of view, mostly.
Yeah. I knew he was a man from get-go. So, I was kind of pissed off with Nina's character, because, we kind of meet her first before we meet the other female character. And I was like, oh yeah, I know where we're going here.
Oh my God. And I text you. I was like, I'm already annoyed by her.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I mentioned, I can't wait till we talk about her character. Mm-hmm. And then I think that's how we got into the author. Mm-hmm. And this isn't our first go round with a male author who we feel like should stay in his lane and write male characters, because this was some frack-a-lack-and bullshit.
It was.
It was just, come on, man.
This woman was so, oh my God.
She was weak. He wrote her so weak. And I could see if he wrote her being weak as she just lost her husband. But I mean, it was just, okay, we'll go back. For starters, the woman is a social worker.
Mm-hmm. Trained in manipulation and other things.
Yes. And she didn't see any of these things coming. And granted, when it comes to yourself, there are some things you will be blinded by, as they said, like, the carpenter's house, or the shoemaker's kids are always without shoes, and blah, blah, blah. But I struggled with some of the things that DJ wrote Nina to be so naive and so gullible when it came to, the blinders of love. And I can't remember and I don't know if he tried to do that because she hadn't been in the work world for a while. Because I think when she was with Glenn, wasn't she hadn't had a job for a while, and then once Glenn left, she had to go back into the field?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically she didn't have to, because he kept telling her, I got you, you don't have to work, but
right.
She felt she needed to, which was the correct thing to do.
Right. Because she felt like, hey, you're not my husband. And she wanted to this was her opportunity to get her feet back in, which, if she would have stuck to "you're not my husband," I believe there's a few things, could have changed the trajectory of this story. But again, that's because we're the reader and not the writer.
I think that one of the best things that Nina had going for her was that when she got the job, she also said to her therapist, I don't want to be in a situation where another man has 100% control of everything, including money, because, Glenn left me high and dry. So I never want to be in that position again. And I think that was the sticking point for her.
Right. And Simon didn't see that. Simon just saw that Glenn was a cheat. Well, he made the scenario up for Glenn, basically. Mm-hmm. He made Glenn out. Do we need to talk about that?
Yeah, we probably can. I mean, especially since that was the main driver for her, kind of.
Yeah.
That was a big catalyst in her moving on because, you know, when you think someone has dogged you so badly, you're like, that fool's gone. It's time to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, do we need to talk about like the whole setup of her husband is presumed
Let's talk
drowned
about
and
how it
missing?
starts.
Yeah.
Let's set it up. So it starts out with her husband going missing. And the very first, if I remember, the very first scene was kind of like someone coming across this empty boat with a dog in it, which
That
is
was probably the interesting, chilling part of this story.
Yeah, and the boat had blood in it, and they're like, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be interesting, and then it quickly changed.
Yeah, that opening scene was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Yeah. It was, like you said, the boat was full of blood, a barking dog, and nobody.
Yeah.
And then
in the middle of the lake.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think we jump 17 months later, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 17 months later, here comes Simon in a truck that looks quite similar to Glenn, the missing husband's truck, with their dog Daisy. He claims, Daisy must have gotten out of the house and he found him down the road. And thank God you had him chipped because I found out where you live. And come to find out, Simon is the teacher of Maggie, right? I think he teaches at Maggie's school.
Yeah, I don't think she actually has him as a teacher though, but he is in her school.
Right. And I think Simon too. So I think she's got to be like 13 maybe.
Are they in middle school? I think.
Yeah. I can't remember. Sure. But with that little town, who's to say? And they're in New Hampshire. We could set that up too. They're in this little town in New Hampshire. But so Simon brings the dog home. And, I think Nina kind of brings up how tough it's been. Her husband's gone. Everybody in the town knows that her husband is missing, blah, blah, blah. And Simon decides to take her out to dinner instead. I think she offers him dinner for bringing Daisy home, and he flips it or whatever. Long story short, a relationship develops and they're moving in together. She's moved in because she can't afford the house that her and Glenn purchased. So now she's decided to move in with Simon, who claims to be kind of wealthy and, owns property and blah, blah, blah.
So that is why I'm thinking back. I'm thinking maybe it was 6 months or something, because that was point of contention with a lot of people judging her, is that she moved on so fast.
Okay. All right. So 6 months.
I feel like it was around.
After.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, because at one point she said she had been with Simon for 2 years, remember?
Right. Because she says now, the synopsis says now a year and a half later, Nina has found love again. So, yeah. Okay. So maybe they were kind of dating during that time and then moved in. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because, the daughter even kind of says, well, he was tolerable, but now he's in my space. And that last the bulk of the story took place like over 6 months, I feel like.
Okay.
Because she kept saying like toward the end, like, could this be the same guy? Like I've known him for 2 years. Like I would have noticed. And
no, you didn't. No, you didn't notice, ma'am. So during this time, Simon and Connor are getting along perfectly. He's playing catch with Connor, doing robotics, and Maggie hates his guts. But Mom is Nina, thinks Maggie hates his guts because her dad is, she loves her dad and doesn't think he's missing or dead or presumed dead, where Connor thinks at one point they thought he had been drowned. And then later on, they feel like he may have escaped their life because he ruined some things at work and decided to leave them. But Maggie doesn't believe that. So, and then some crazy things starts happening between Maggie and Simon, some contention.
That was part of my big issue with Nina is your kids. Okay, you raised your kids.
Yeah.
You've known this dude a year and a half. A year.
Amen.
And when your daughter tells you something is wrong, he did this certain situations, there's no way that I can't imagine just totally turning a blind eye and assuming she's trying to sabotage him. I would not do that.
Yeah. Every time. And I mean, and he kind of tried to set it up to make it feel like, well, she really loves her dad and she doesn't like him. So, there's been stories out there, again, the classic trope of, you're not my daddy. I'm not listening to you. I'm going to make your life miserable, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that was one of my biggest things too, is, this girl was never like that. Mm-hmm. Never. That even the mom had mentioned it before. What's going on? What's going on? And then you got Mr. Smooth Talker, who's a teacher, who's, and mom believed Simon every time.
And that's what's so crazy is because and this is another, Nina has so many faults for me.
Yeah.
This dude is gaslighting you and you're not even noticing it.
Yeah.
And you're a professional. You've been trained. Yeah. You can't identify when someone's gaslighting you.
Right. And emotionally, right. The abuse. It was just like, hello, red light, ma'am. You don't see any of this. It was just like, you're the abused victim. You're the victim, really. And you don't even see it. And when he called her 7 times in one day, I lost it. I was like, huh? What kind of teacher are you that you can call her 7 times throughout the day?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, DJ, that was all off. There's no way a teacher is able to call somebody 7 times a day. And I'm sorry, those calls wouldn't have been picked up.
No, I wouldn't have answered.
No.
Like, that's crazy. That's cuckoo crazy.
Yeah. That's a little obsessive.
He was constantly doing the whole, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. But, when things go bad, and they will.
Yeah. Right. And that was the other thing. When things go bad, and they will, and lo and behold, next chapter, next couple pages, the bad thing has happened. You don't see this, Nina. You don't see it. You were so blind for love, or, were you just missing someone in your life that much? Because he was only gone, a year, right?
Yeah.
And the only difference, according to the synopsis and DJ Palmer, the only difference between Glenn and Simon is money. Mm-hmm. Because Simon was trying to be Glenn. Mm-hmm. He wore the same cologne. He did certain things, because she was saying there's
car.
Yeah. So it's like the only difference was money.
It wouldn't that, as an individual, that would creep me the fuck out. I'd be like, okay, you're too similar to my husband. So instead of that comforting me, it's creeping me out. So we can't date.
Yeah. Because, she said she bought him cologne, but every time he wore it, it always smelled like Glenn.
Because he was wearing something else and lying and saying it was the cologne.
Yeah. So my mind would be like, something's not right here. I would thought that a long time ago. But
she was delusional.
Yeah, and that's the way
he wrote her.
Mm-hmm. He wrote this strong woman who is in social work couldn't see this.
No. And that bothered me. I wish she was a little more suspicious sooner. Even if everything didn't just come tumbling out of the closet, I think it would have been more suspenseful if she was fearful of him some, other than the one time he kind of showed himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, that it would almost be a reason for her to stay. That I'm a little afraid and I don't want my family. But she kind of stood up to him a couple of times, and then he kind of make her feel bad, and then and I'm like, Chick, you're stronger than you think you are.
But she even noticed when she go out with her friends or want to go out with her friends, she even started thinking like every time something comes up, but she's not connecting the dots.
And I'm like, this is my other thing. You're not 21. You're a full-grown woman with two full kids who are at least teenage years, if not up to, you know what I mean? You're not new to this. Because she married late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she didn't marry
She's a
young.
grown-up. She's a full-on grown-up.
Right. But I'm just saying, she's been out in the dating scene for a while. And the other thing is not only not believing your daughter, your friends who've known you for how long and who's been through something. I mean, granted, you're gonna have a few friends that got some different advice, but they all were consistent on what they were saying about this man. And then for him to lie and say, that's not what I said. So my thing is, oh, you didn't say that? Let me get her on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Because your friend would not just make some shit up.
No.
And he's like, I remember that conversation completely different. I'm like, this fool just lying to your face and you just accepting it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe they are. They don't like him. Why don't they like them? Why don't they like him?
These are supposed to be your road dogs, right? Like they have never shown any bit of jealousy towards you in the past.
Nope.
And now they're lying. And
right. Yeah. And right. Because the one was a divorcee too, but still, there was no reason for those girls, her friends, to lie and to make Simon to be, well, he made them out to be the bad person. And I mean, I'm sorry, I don't care what was going on. If my girls' trip had been planned for I don't know how long, you just gonna suck it up.
Yeah, I'm going.
I'm out. Deuces.
But then she was like, oh, but what did he do? He threw the kids up there, especially Maggie. Well, you want me to be here with her that whole time. She hates me. I feel like, man, okay, this is the perfect time to send these kids to their grandparents. They'll go there for the weekend.
Yep. We could solve this real quick. But he made her feel guilty. And I was just like, this has got to be one of the weakest characters, female characters, that I've read in a long time. And not just weak, but somebody I didn't like after a while.
Yeah.
It was because I've read some weak characters, but I've felt something for them. Her, I felt nothing. I felt nothing for any of the characters in the book, except for Daisy and poor little Glenn. Oh, but we got to finish with the Glenn story. I guess we could cut to the chase about, Glenn and his disappearance.
Yeah, and that didn't surprise me at all. So when, get to that part and Glenn is the narrator, you realize, oh, Simon's had him the whole time. He's had him in a soundproof box under the stairs for 2 years.
In his so-called rental home.
Right.
Yeah. Chained. And
treated like a dog.
Yeah. Oh God. He was beating him.
Yeah.
And I think we finally find out about Glenn. Well, we do find out about Glenn when he is texting with Maggie over this app. I can't remember the name of the app, Walkie Talkie, something like that. And all of a sudden we realize, because I'm wondering like, okay, because at first, I had a feeling that Simon was too good to be true. And I had a feeling he was probably the one who took Glenn, but I wasn't sure when it came to the app. And he's talking to her and saying, keep it a secret. And then it was just too coincidental that Simon would just kind of show up and look over her shoulder while she's looking at the phone. I was like, yeah, this fool. But yeah, we digress. So that was the one thing you said you didn't like. Where else you want to go?
Well, I kind of, I guess I did kind of like the kids like doing their own kind of investigation, although the brother Connor kind of annoyed me a little bit. Again, I'm your sister, dude. Why are you doubting me so hard? Like, you don't even give me the benefit of the doubt at all.
Yeah.
You gonna believe this dude over me?
Well, Simon, he did it that way. He was the perfect dad. Oh, he's throwing the ball out there. He made that relationship look kosher. So Connor's probably like, I don't see the big deal. He doesn't do that to me.
Yeah. Which he did get all of these tips from Glenn.
Yeah.
He is threatening Glenn with killing his family in exchange, but I'll keep them alive in exchange for you feeding me bits of information that will endear them to me.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And it worked for a little bit, but that little Maggie was not going for it.
No, she's not going for it. She's smart. And a lot of kids, and I mean, if Connor didn't have such a profound need for a father figure, he might have seen it too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but Maggie called bullshit on him like ASAP, especially when she saw that look in his eye. And that was like, what, night 1 or 2 when she didn't turn the TV off? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was the other thing. Nina would say, no, that's not what I said. And he's like, no, that's what you said. You must be too busy to remember. And I'm like, I know what I told my kids. There's certain things, like you say, your kids and the routines. And if I didn't say blah, 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 I know I didn't say that.
Yeah, he was trying to insist that she told him get the TV off basically at any cost.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, I mean, she's not that strong against her kids anyway. That is not something she would have even done to her kids.
Right. Even Glenn told him that the kids are her life. So that's one thing. So,
and I mean, Glenn also did try to help him like a little bit. He was saying, okay, all of this stuff you're causing between Maggie, all this gaslighting of her as well, it's not going to work. It's going to make her dig in more.
Yep.
So that's not going to make her quit the job.
Nope. Not at all. Because she's going to make sure kids are taken care of. And again, she's not going to let some guy be the sole provider for her.
And, let's talk about the therapist. So I mentioned earlier, she's talking to a therapist. And shouldn't that be like a really strong clue for you when you have to lie about seeing a therapist or hide that you're seeing a therapist?
Yeah, it is. Because those things are, especially you just lost a husband. You're starting a new relationship.
Yep.
And I mean, it was to the point where he knew exactly what time she'd be home, because she would be like, oh, I got to hurry up and get home because Simon will know I'm usually at the house. And I'm like, ooh.
That is so controlling.
That's abusive. Yeah, that is abuse, ma'am.
And I could tell really quick. I'm like, he's obviously trying to isolate you. Can't you tell that's what he's doing?
Yep. Immediately, and then the tree situation, the neighbors' branches were over on. He was a control freak on all aspects. And then I didn't like the fact that she didn't know anything about his family. It was all secretive. They only knew, she knew very little. So my thing is that's your fault, ma'am. You are moving in with a man that you really don't know the full background. Not only are you moving in, you're moving your children in. Again, she is a social worker. She is not some stay-at-home mom who doesn't have life experience, a college degree, or some kind of degree in a special area where she, you know what I mean? She's not that simpleton. This is a very well-trained, intelligent woman.
Oh, and book smart, but not street smart.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. But I mean, any mom, well, no, you know what? I'll take that back. This mom, if I'm moving in with anybody, I need to know everything. And I'm definitely not moving me and my kids in with somebody I've only known for a short period of time.
I know.
No. But again, this is DJ Palmer. This is the male point of view.
He did write her as a guy would write her.
Yes. It was so guy. It was awful. The sex scenes were bad. It was just like, this is such a guy. Oh God. No. The sex scenes, I was like, yeah, this is from a male's point of view. Because I'm like, who does that? What woman?
And I feel like I might have had more issues if I had known from the get that it was a man.
Okay.
Because I'm like, the whole time I'm like, this isn't sitting right with me. Like, I'm not liking this. I'm not liking that. And then I did, and shame on me, I did go back and look at some of the reviews, but I just ignored the author area. I ignored it. And I'm like, why do so many people have 5 and 4-star ratings for this book? I'm confused.
Yeah.
And then I'll see a few 1s and 2s, but I'm like, these are people that when you get it, you look at their Goodreads tags, they got the book from the publisher. A lot of them, or NetGalley. And I'm like, that is so wrong, because I take pride in my reviews. If it's bad, it's bad. I don't care where I got the book from.
Yep. Yeah. And I was also wondering that too, like with the reviews, I was like, okay, so is this someone who's new to the genre, who hasn't read, something similar? Because I was scratching my head too, because I'm like, even 3.87 is a high average, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was nothing shocking. It was nothing shocking, nothing new.
But I should have known, like, not to be funny, there were only like 5,000 ratings, like 5,100 ratings. So there weren't a lot.
No.
So clearly they didn't put a whole lot of money behind pushing this book, because there would have been twice that at least. And now I'm looking, he has 2 books. And there's another one. I don't know.
Saving Megan or something?
Yeah,
right?
Saving Megan, that was published last year. And it has about 5,400 ratings. And then there's another one, The Perfect Daughter, that must be coming out, because there's no ratings. There's no dates.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, okay.
Don't have to worry about me reading that one.
Look, okay. So last week, or maybe a couple of weeks ago now, based on when we're recording, Casey and I talked about book covers, judging a book by its cover. No. And I'm looking at this cover art. I should have said no when I looked at this cover.
Yeah.
I should have said no.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this was a fallback from a previous selection. Like, this was, it was a pick between this one and Little Secrets, and we went with Little Secrets, and I think we just went back and said, let's try this other one. I think that is it.
But, and I'm kind of sad, because all of the markers that would normally tell me not to read this were there if I was looking for them. You know what I'm saying? So I can't. And I apologize to everybody who read this with us, because I feel like if I had just taken a little bit more time in reviewing this before accepting to, go with it, I think all the signals would have been there to tell me not to read this.
Yeah. But we live and we learn. So hopefully, but there's been some times where, and this isn't the first book where, I think we talked about Little Secrets did we read Little Secrets last month?
Yep, we did.
Okay. And that cover had really nothing to do. We couldn't figure out who the girl was on the cover. But yeah, the title doesn't.
Because they're not married.
No.
They never get married. So who the hell is the new husband? There is no new husband. They never even got engaged. If you remember, he proposed once and she said no. She had she had the common sense to say no.
Yep. He may have mentioned that this is my wife, and everybody was like, no, but he is not the husband. I don't know what these flowers on the deck are for, on the floor for. I don't even think he ever gave her flowers.
No.
This picture is very deceiving. The cover, is very deceiving. And so is the synopsis, and so is the title.
I'm like, the new husband, they never got married. It's so crazy. That annoyed me so much.
Well, they mentioned in the book that New Hampshire law was, they had to wait for 2 years. She had to wait for 2 years before she could even get remarried, and to prove that the husband had either left her, basically high and dry, or, just kind of deserted them. Mm-hmm. So what, they hadn't even they had made it maybe to this thing says a year and a half. So maybe, what is that, 18 months? So yeah. No, you were not, you still had some months to go become her husband, but again, she said no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, this title is fake. The synopsis isn't that great. The
But you know what,
characters
though?
weren't that relatable.
No, but we would have never known that. We wouldn't have never known that they never got married until we read the story. The only thing we probably would have been a giveaway is this cover, this deceiving cover.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we wouldn't have known that they never married. We wouldn't have known.
I'm going to remake this cover to make it make sense. So I feel like had they shown a door under the stairs or a house on the lake, we don't know. That would be less, telling. But it revolved around the house on the lake because that's where the husband was being kept. Mm-hmm. And maybe if they called it the husband, not the new husband.
New husband, right. Right, because I was waiting for when are they going to get married?
Yeah, because this way, if we were looking at a cover, we know the story ends with the house on the lake with her finding the husband there. Her husband.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. The husband. Yeah. Not a new husband.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If we
need to hire me for consulting because let me help you.
Yeah, because that was awful. I was trying to look at his other book with like Saving Megan, but again, I didn't read that. But at least there's a girl on the cover, There's not flowers. So there's a female. But yeah, those were some of my gripes with that. The male author, it was not unique. It was the same old trope. And I think probably my other issue would be, and I did tell you this story. When I started this book, I thought I downloaded it on Scribd, but I did not. Scribed.
Whichever.
I'm gonna find out how they say that name. And I might have been like 10% in, and I left the book and went to come back to read it or listen to it, and it was gone. So in the meantime, Scribe rotates books basically according to your reading or your listening. So they had brought up No Good Deeds by, can't remember the lady's name. And I was like, okay, I'll read this one. And I'm reading it and I finished it. And then I finished it pretty quick, but I think I gave it maybe 3 stars because it was kind of blah, blah, blah. So I talked to Scribd via Instagram and told them my story. They gave me the DJ Palmer book back in my queue. So I'm listening. I'm like, wow, this story sounds really familiar. And it was basically almost the same story. Except for No Good Deeds probably was a better story, but that just goes to show you that this is a trope that's used often. And if you're going to use this trope, you're going to have to bring something spectacular to make it stand out.
Yeah.
And even the No Good Deed story, it was a little far-fetched and it was interesting, but it was still like, really? This is what you did? Mm-hmm. Really? So, and I think this is probably what also made me not like this story as much, because I just kind of read a story similar to this. Yeah. And it was just like, yeah, no. I'm not thinking you.
Let's talk about the end of the book real fast. So the end of the book, Simon steals the dog again, basically. He steals the dog. They're tired of him having their dog. So the daughter steals the key with help of her school friend. And then the mom comes and picks up the key and goes to the house. So I'm like, oh, look at that teamwork.
See how this works?
Yeah. So she goes to the house. She thinks she's good because she's got the key, the alarm code. She goes in and I'm like, she finds this, book, this diary, and she sits there and starts reading the diary. And I'm like, girl, you dumb. You dumb. Because, I mean, if anything, I would have been flipping through those pages, taking photos with my cell phone, and then put the thing back. I wouldn't be sitting there actually reading the diary.
Time is ticking. Time is ticking.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, how long have I been sitting here? I don't know. Okay, dummy. So she
Anybody
goes.
knows if you're sneaking, you don't have time.
No, you don't have time. You need to in and out, in and out, in and out. Yes. But she took her time with that book. And then she's like, okay, I guess I'll go look for the dog now, which was her original, purpose for going. And she does
like this.
Yeah. It was painful. So she eventually finds the dog, and the dog runs right to where Glenn is. And, and she ignores her dog. Her dog is barking and pulling and, trying to give her all the clues he can that she needs to open whatever is back there. And she's just yanking and pulling him. And she's like so frantic about getting the dog out now because she wasted so much time.
That irked me so bad. I was just like, Lassie, what are you saying, boy? I mean, it was so clear. If a dog's nose sense of smell is strong, and this dog will not leave, lady. Listen.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to your damn daughter.
Right.
That's what I thought. And now you're not listening to the dog.
No.
Who's smarter than everybody?
Yes. And I mean, eventually, like, I can't remember what it was that eventually made her decide to try to open the door. I think she saw something on the wall.
Like a light or something. Yeah, like a light hit something and she saw a gap or something.
Yeah. So then she starts messing around with the wall. Of course, she gets in there and she's like, oh, Glenn, you're in here.
Girl, it was a little soap opera at the end.
Yes. And he's like, oh, is this real? Are you
real? Again.
And then he goes, how long have you been here? And she's like, I don't know, not long. Like, oh my God.
Right, because he couldn't tell because it's a soundproof room. So he didn't know when she got down there.
Yeah. And then he's like, there's a second alarm. Dun, dun, dun.
And then and then she remembers her son called, but she missed the call. And then it was just it was a rush. It felt like it was, I mean, it really wasn't a rush to get the story over. The story should have been over probably before that, but now all of a sudden it's like, what's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna die.
Right.
Who's gonna die?
Apparently a few people.
Yeah, I didn't think the detective was gonna die. I really didn't.
Well, it didn't surprise me because I'm like, he's such an idiot. I mean, so the kid calls you, so Connor calls the police because he's worried about his mother because, they had earlier put the cameras. So he knew his mother was at the house.
Yep.
And that, hello, Simon is now at the house.
Yep.
So he calls the police, the detective. He just goes over there, walks on in without any kind of backup. Did you even tell people where you was going?
Right. Well, they didn't know he didn't have backup until he's like his last dying breath.
He's like,
help
me, please.
Girl, I was like, can this get any worse? No, is this gonna get any worse?
It was crazy. I'm like, what the frickety frack? And so in the end, Nina ends up killing him, basically. Killing Simon.
Yeah. With a glass shard or something to the neck.
And that's following her saying, I love you, trying to convince him, like, we're on the same team. Look this way. Like, don't look at the cop behind you.
It was bad. It was so bad.
Yes.
I was like, this is like one of those, I wouldn't even call it a B-rating movie, where if you on Netflix where you're just looking and you're like, what is this? Okay. For shits and giggles, let me watch this.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, thank God I didn't pay to see that in the theater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I felt at the end of this story. I was like, oh God, the cop didn't call for backup. He's going to play superhero, which he was already a bumbling cop. or detective. And then the other part at the end. Oh, wait. So Simon tells Nina, because she says that I love you. She's confessing her love, hoping he won't kill her or Glenn. She's hoping. And he tells her about all this money.
$200,000, $200,000.
Yeah, from one of the wives. He took their money.
Yeah.
And they were going to start a new life.
The wife that committed suicide that he actually murdered.
Just crazy.
Side note, he murdered his second wife and her brother.
Right. Yeah. And tried to kill the therapist.
He was shocked. He's like, oh, she's alive? Yeah. She gonna make it? Oh.
And Nina was like, that was a weird, reaction. And I was like, hello, the first time you guys are supposed to meet the therapist, she's dead. She's hurt. And then he reacts like that. Come on, let's put this puzzle together.
Because he know the therapist would be like, lay her eyes on him for 5 minutes and be like, you in danger, girl. This guy crazy.
Oh, yeah. She'd call his bullshit real quick. Mm-hmm. But I thought what was weird was, at the end of the story, because Nina wound up getting the $200. She went upstairs before the cop and the ambulance and everybody got there and took the money. And now she's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay this. I'm going to start a fund in the name of Hugh Grant for addicts. And I'm going to take care of the detective's widow. And I'm going to do, and I'm like
that money doesn't stretch that far. That's not a lot of money.
And I'm like, maybe in New Hampshire, I don't know. But I'm like, you run it through, honey. Quick.
And then she shows up with a book deal. Like, we can write our story. What the?
Yeah. I was like, and you guys gave this how many stars?
Yeah.
This was some, again, fraggle-lagging bullshit.
Yes.
A book deal. But not right now. Let's give ourselves some time.
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all kidding me? So, yeah.
And then the husband's excuse for, spending all their money over the last couple of years where he really didn't have a job, that excuse was dumb AF as well. Oh, I was going to tell on them for some bad practices, and then they fired me, and then they put this bad report on my scorecard, and I could not find another job. I'm like, why wouldn't you just, and the wife Nina kept saying, I would have understood that. Why didn't you just tell me?
This was kind of like DJ Palmer. They like, deadline, wrap it up, sir. You're on deadline. And he pieced some crap together because at the end, it seemed like it was just getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
The further he got to the final, the finale of this story. Because I was like, the $200, the $200,000, the story of why he wasn't working for 2 years and you're just going out to Carson. I'm like,
he going out to fish every day and contemplate life. Bitch, get your ass home and tell your wife what the hell is going on. And then they make that like it's okay.
How about you find another job in another field?
Yeah. How about you switch jobs? It doesn't have to be in finance. Find another job.
Thank you. For one, I'm just going to say it. You're a white male. You're going to find a job better than my husband would.
Quit playing. Yeah. You can go find it. And you got friends that will hook you up. Quit playing.
You better say that again.
Use your connections, Glenn.
And I think that might have been a little bit of my soreness. It was just like, are y'all kidding me?
Yeah.
But this was pre-COVID and us being quarantined. This was pre-George Floyd when this book came out. So I think I was just like, bullshit.
I'm calling all kind of shenanigans.
Right. 2 years without a job and you going out on a boat. How the hell you still have a boat, Glenn?
I see people every day that get jobs they have no business having, but they get them anyway. And then you gonna pay
simple jobs, big jobs.
High level management, director level jobs. And You're right. Putting gas in a boat is not cheap. So you burning money on gas to fill a boat so you can fish?
All of that
daily
came to my mind. Yeah. I was like, oh, whoa. You dipping in our finances so you can go sit on the water and think. I got something for you to think about, Glenn.
Yeah, how about you think about this? Let me knock some sense into your head because that's dumb.
And And then and I mean, the only thing is like, if that was a true thing about putting that mark on their record, if they work in the bank, I thought, oh, okay, that's very interesting. But I'm like, I don't think this story, that line or that lie or that excuse for him losing his job was meant for this story. Mm-hmm. And if it was meant for this story, that should have been earlier in the story. But for you to bring it in at the end, I was just like, I don't know. I don't feel sorry for you.
And when you start breaking down how things work in real life, it just didn't make sense. So for example, Nina is like, Maggie has an allergic reaction. So like, she clearly goes to the doctor. She sees her kids probably go to the doctor often. You mean to tell me you never once noticed that you had a different insurance card without the name of a company on it? Hello, every insurance card I've ever had a company name on it.
Yep.
So you didn't notice that while you're using it to take your kids to the doctor?
Maybe they hadn't gone in a while. I know, it's just those little nuances that he didn't think about, because you want to know why? He's probably never had to take somebody to the doctor. So he's probably never even thought about those little things, because if Glenn is out of work for 2 years, they don't have insurance again, like you said. And even if he did buy Cobra, because he was dipping in their finances, Cobra is a totally different thing. So now all of a sudden you're worried about insurance. Because even if you did go to the doctor with your old insurance card, baby, if he fired, you can
they would have been like, ma'am, this is not working.
Again, that's because DJ Palmer probably never had to deal with those.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah. Oh. Because I mean, come on, those are simple things. So your editor didn't even figure that one out too?
Maybe the editor was a man.
I know, listeners, this may sound like we're male bashing, but we've read a few stories where the author was a male. They did not do a good job with their female characters. I think we've only had maybe one or two, like Taylor Adams.
Yeah.
I cannot speak enough and cannot speak highly enough. And you've probably, if you've listened to us long enough, but Taylor Adams and his description of the female characters in this book were lovely. I mean, we were just like thrilled. I think I struggled a little bit with Riley Sager or somebody in the female characters, the way they write them. But this was probably the worst.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, he really needed some female beta readers, some adult female beta readers to help him a little bit more with these characters.
Yeah.
Because poor, the daughter, I mean, she just, even though she was very smart, she just came across whiny the whole time.
Yeah. And she shouldn't have.
She should have came across like, Mom, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah. Stop. You know what I'm saying? Not.
But he did a good job on Ben, didn't he? He did a great job on Ben with Asperger. He did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But Maggie did. She came off as a whiny brat who just was trying to get her mother's attention, blah, blah, blah. And it was not that. She was she was really, in honest truth, her character, she was a badass who refused. I mean, this is my thing. That chick broke the antique mullet.
She was down there sweating bullets like she was about to break this old gun that cost a lot of money. And she like, oh gosh, I'm gonna do it. And then she's like, oh, I feel so good. It's broken. Yes. Okay.
I was like, go ahead. I was like, see, that takes some guts right there. But the way he wrote it, it didn't even come off like that.
It's kind of like campy.
Yeah, it was. It really was. That is the perfect word. Yeah, you are right. Because she I mean, come on now. Your mama's new boyfriend? What do you break? The thing that's dearest and nearest to his heart?
She was trying to get that look in his eyes again, which, oh my God, can I just say that kind of annoyed me a little bit? Constantly talking about that dark look in his eyes.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can tell someone is psycho, is the dark look in his eyes that he flashes for all of 2 seconds.
I'm sorry. We noticed that he was dark prior to the look, just his
Right.
actions. But yeah, that was your only description for a psychopath. Yeah.
Nina's like, oh, I saw that look once.
It must be true. Right.
Right.
Like he flicks it on and that's when he's crazy. No, he's crazy all the time, ma'am.
I mean, and then Nina, that one time she was going to go out with her friends. Suddenly he's sick and vomiting. And then later she finds the stuff that makes you vomit. And she's like, yeah, what is this doing? The first thing in my mind, I've been like, did the bitch take this? He took it because he was really quick.
He really was.
Did you put this here? Why is it here? And of course, he quick to think, I just brought it from my old house. I don't know.
Clearly, after they told you, don't use that stuff again.
Yeah.
Because it, they don't even use it anymore. But yeah, it was just so many just bad things. Yeah. I'm like, did they give him an advance from saving Megan and they had no choice but to put this book out there? Because oh my goodness,
it felt like one of the cheesiest. Now Lifetime has some movies that are okay and some that are super cheeseball. This felt like one of the superest cheeseball Lifetime movies that they could have possibly come up with.
Yeah, it was kind of like that baby, the story of the killer who can be heard on the baby monitor and nobody's every time the baby monitor comes on, I don't hear it. Mm-hmm. I hear it whenever the baby, I can hear it through the baby. Yeah, it was a bad Lifetime movie. Yeah. Hallmark does better than this.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. The time jumps. Well, maybe it was 17 months later. I don't know. Girl, I'm confused on the timeline. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't even matter at this point. It does not matter.
Nope. It does not. It doesn't change anything, really. What does it change with this story?
Absolutely nothing.
None.
It was still crap.
Yep.
So what I think we should do now is take a quick break. And when we return, we are going to talk about the audiobook narrators. And we're going to give our rating, which you probably can guess. But stay with us. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. All right, let's talk about these narrators, January Lavoy and Rebecca Solar. And of course, we've listened to January Lavoy several times.
Yes.
And Rebecca Solar, I've listened to her in plenty of YA books. She has that real young voice.
Rebecca, how do you spell that? I'm looking at
Soler.
Soler. Okay.
And she did. I really liked what she did with the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. She has that young voice that's great for teens.
Yep. Gotcha.
So she was definitely Maggie's character. Every time Maggie was narrating, it was that young, that was Rebecca Solar.
Rebecca. Okay. And that's what I thought. Yeah. I liked her.
Yeah.
I like Rebecca's voice. I think she did a great job with the females, because I think, whenever Maggie came up and because not only did she just do not Rebecca's, Maggie's voice, she would do Ben's voice, she would do Connor's voice, because it was narrating from Maggie's point of views. Because it was three narrators from the book, but two audible narrators.
Yeah.
Because there was Glenn, which I assume January did.
Yeah.
Glenn, Maggie, and Nina. So I thought Rebecca did a great job with the male voices. They sounded like young boys.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so she did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the narrators elevated this book some. I'm honestly, because it's Macmillan Audio, of course, they were able to pull those narrators.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If it was anybody, if this was self-pub, he wouldn't have been able to pull those narrators for this. Yeah. So
No.
I think that did help a little bit, that I at least enjoyed the listening experience, even though I was constantly annoyed with everything that was happening.
Right, but they did bring some sort of level of, I won't say excitement, but something to make you want to at least continue, because there's, sometimes a narrator can make a break. Mm-hmm. They kind of just helped us get through this. They helped us survive this story.
Indeed. So if you like audiobook listening, definitely, if you're going to spend the time, check it out on audiobook. But I don't recommend spending the time. So let's do the rating.
Yeah, because how many hours was this again?
11 hours and 50 minutes on regular speed. But I sped it up like to 1.5, I think.
Okay. And I think I was at 1.25. And yeah, I can't get those hours back.
Yeah, they're gone. Kiss them goodbye. Bye.
And January, we love January Lavoy. So it's kind of like whenever I see her name, I'm like, ooh. And then, too bad she had to read this story. But anywho.
Yeah. So what's your rating, Classy?
1.
Yeah, I would agree. I postponed putting my rating on Goodreads because I didn't want to let anyone know that I was rating it that low right away. So I held off on putting that. And I thought, since I finished it a couple days ago, I also wanted to see if I would feel differently in 2 days. And I don't.
Yeah, because there has been times where we'll talk about the book and our ratings. I know I have. My rating has changed after talking it out with you.
Yeah.
But no. Mm-mm.
Not this time.
Straight across the board. Consistent. Yeah.
So what I would love to know is if you've read this book and you think, ladies, what is wrong with you? This was fabulous. I rated it 4 or 5. I want you to tell me why you thought it was so fabulous, and what did we miss that you caught that made it so fabulous. Please tell me.
I agree.
Yeah,
please make a strong argument for, because maybe we missed something. Maybe
I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
It was a very simple story.
It was.
Everyone has their own opinion, and clearly there are lots of 5-star ratings on Goodreads. So please let me know. Because I would love to have a conversation, chat about it in the comments.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're to the end. What do you think, Classy?
I think so. There's nothing else I want to say about the book. Same. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're done. Yeah. Okay, guys. Obviously, if you are on Patreon, then the after show is available for you now on Patreon. And that is it for today. And if you'd like to talk with us about The New Husband, you can find us both in the Shelf Addiction official Facebook. Take care. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.